Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch Roast Podcast, episode number 105. I am Brendan. All right, we're going to talk about UFC Fight Night, Santos versus Ankalaev. This is the last one of these that I am doing. I am a little bit tired. I have done a lot of these today. I took a lot of notes over the weekend. I tried to get as detailed as possible without being overbearing and boring, which I know I have a tendency to do during these. But anyway, we're going to talk about these fights on this card. Before we get started, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Let me know. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about the fights, what you thought about the fights, what you want me to cover, what you don't want me to cover. Go check out the other videos that I put up this weekend about the other fight cards. Eagle FC, Bellator. I put those up earlier. I covered in depth on the Eagle FC and a little bit on the Bellator. So I really appreciate it. Means a lot to me. Let's get started. Okay, so Thiago Santos taking on Magomedov Ankalaev. Oh boy. So Magomed, not Magomedov Ankalaev. Good grief. So before this weekend, they're sat at number 5 and number 6, Santos and Ankalaev. This weekend, or after this weekend, they might be switching. Ankalaev taking the decision here. So in the first round, Ankalaev was moving forward with pressure, landing good shots that stunned Santos. The key for him is keeping Santos back against the cage. Limited his options. By the way, this was a stinker of a fight. It really was. You want to look at the outputs here. 10-8, 15-15, 18-19. Not a lot of output from either one of these guys. Not a lot of ground game either. So I don't want to hear about that being, they were just really intense grappling. No. None of that. It was, I'll talk about it in a little bit, but there was just not a lot of action. This was kind of a stinker of a fight. Not a kind of. It was a stinker of a fight. All right, so the key to Ankalaev in this fight was keeping Santos backed against the cage, and he did a really good job in the first round. Actually, for most of the fight, he kept Santos on the back foot and near the edge of the cage. Magomed was way out in front, landing clean shots and doing real damage and controlling the first round. Easy peasy, 10-9 for him. I don't think I'm crazy saying that. Although Santos was ahead in the striking numbers, 10-8, I didn't feel like they were that much more significant than Ankalaev's. Ankalaev seemed to land some cleaner shots and do more damage with his, and he had all of that control time and the aggression. Give the first round to him. Santos found a big leg kick a couple times in the second round. That should have been his key to victory, and had he started landing it earlier, it might have changed the way things went. But in the second round, Santos managed to land a really good hook and put Ankalaev down near the end of the second round, and then landed another hook and kept him down there through some short elbows. Easy round for Santos in the second. And if you want to look at the striking numbers, they were dead even, but obviously Santos putting him down puts him over the top on that. Santos takes the second round, 19-19 going into the third. Third round, Magomed still putting the pressure on him. Never stopped, never really let up. And then Santos finally started landing more leg kicks, which I feel like if he didn't do it enough. You want to see how many, 50% of the strikes that he landed went to the legs. I feel like he could have started much earlier, landed more damage, and really stopped a lot of the pressure and power come from Ankalaev. Not that there was much because, they didn't throw a lot here. But in this third round, if you gave it to Santos because of some of the bigger leg kicks, I'm okay with that. But the poking and prodding and the shots probably gave Ankalaev that last round or that third round, and that was due to the distance, the aggression, and pretty much even on damage again, 19-18 in favor of Ankalaev. I mean, you can go either way as far as just looking at pure striking numbers and maybe damage in the favor of Santos, but I don't think so. I think it was super close, and the aggression takes it over the top for me. So, and then the fourth round, Santos started the fourth round with a ton of pressure and a lot of aggression. Didn't land too many big shots, but then faded quick and didn't do anything for the rest of the round. He looked like he was waiting for the perfect shot. Never really found it. Didn't do much. Losing this round pretty heavily, 21-10 in favor of Ankalaev as far as significant strikes go. Every one of these rounds was a carbon copy as far as positioning. Ankalaev on the front foot, Santos on the back foot, spending a lot of time with his back near or against the cage. Like I said, kind of a stinker. Last round was a super stinker. It was a Magomed grapple fest. Really a lot of clinch work in the last round. His strikes 15-7. It doesn't matter to me. I had it 49-46 in favor of Ankalaev, only giving one round, that second round, to Santos. I think somebody, Mike Bell here, may have given Santos round 3 as well, which doesn't, or no, maybe he gave him the first round for landing more damage. Either way, one of those rounds, give it to him. If you give him both, honestly, if you gave all the first 3 rounds to Santos, maybe there's an argument that can be had there that he won this fight, but I just don't see it. I really don't. I don't think that's the right way to go. I think the correct decision was made here. All right. Oh, wait, hold on. Per round, duh. Yeah, and then you can look at the distance and leg strikes per round. See, look at this. So the leg strikes, he really 12 of 13 in round 3. 7 of 9. They weren't as heavy in the first round, and I don't feel like he really landed 7 good ones. 5, I think and then 4, nothing. If he really laid the groundwork and kept putting damage on that leg, I think he could have done it safely without really compromising himself. Now, what I wanted to do is bring up his record here. So, Ankalaev only has 1 loss, and that's to Paul Craig. The rest of his UFC career has been nothing but wins, and the last 3 have been against mainstays in the light heavyweight division and the rankings. Well, Krylov isn't anymore, but he was at one point. Volkan Ozdemir and Santos, both highly touted light heavyweights in the UFC. Both have previously fought for a title. So what does this mean for Magomed Ankalaev? Ankalaev most likely moving up into the top 5 after this weekend. I don't see how he wouldn't at least trade spaces with Santos. Most likely going to be 5 and 6. Now, he could jump ahead of Anthony Smith. It doesn't have to. I don't see why they would do that. I hate when they do that, when there's no fighters active and there's no reason to drop Smith down into 5th place. But Ankalaev could jump the rankings as well and put him at 4. It means nothing. These are the guys he should be facing. He could be facing Smith, but Smith and Rakic, I believe, have unfinished business. They want to fight each other. Jiri Prochazka will be fighting for the title, and Jan Blachowicz, I don't know if he's got something lined up yet, but that would be a good matchup for him. So the next fight for Ankalaev is title contender or title fight. That is it. There are no other options for him. On the opposite end of the spectrum here, Thiago Santos. Mixed bag. Having the loss to John Jones, the split decision loss. I don't think he lost that fight. I think he should have had the title, but then the loss to Glover Teixeira, the loss to Rakic, and then the weird win over Johnny Walker in a less than stellar performance, and now the loss to Magomed Ankalaev. What do we think about Santos going forward here? I think for sure he's dropping out of the top. I think he drops out of the top 7 here. I would say it's possible that he drops out of the top 10, but because he went the distance and didn't really get totally blown out here and looked like he didn't belong, he'll probably still remain in the top 10. What's next for him? I wouldn't mind seeing him take on Ozdemir or Krylov, maybe a Dominic Reyes, someone down here in the lower top 10 here. Maybe Jamal Hill. You could put a name on Jamal Hill's record there. Paul Craig is an option as well. He's already fought him. Yeah, that's who I would go with next, unless you're going to give him an unranked, someone who's looking to jump into the rankings, or maybe give him a tune-up / get well fight. Don't know about that. That usually doesn't happen in the UFC. So looks like it's tough going forward for Thiago Santos. As far as challenging for a title ever again, I don't know. It doesn't bode well that the competition has not necessarily caught up to him, but has deepened in this division, and it's no longer as thin as it was. There's at least in the top 10, there's at least some decent competitors here. It's not just John Jones and whoever has 2 wins gets a title shot anymore. It's a little bit more competitive. So we'll see what happens, but I doubt. I would put my money on that he never fights for a title again. I put my money on he's outside the rankings at the end of next year. I'm not happy about it. I like Santos or something. That's just what I'm looking at here. All right, co-main event: Marlon Moraes versus Song Yadong. Ha 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 ha! Funny name. Anyway, Yadong caught him early with a right, and Marlon looked slow. His cardio, and we know his cardio isn't great, so it doesn't bode well for him going longer in this fight. He got caught. He didn't really catch Yadong with too many good shots. He caught with a couple, but Song was able to land this really big uppercut and put Moraes basically out and gets a KO finish in the first round. So as far as the rankings go, Song is a lighter. Yeah, Song was 14 before this weekend, and Moraes was 10. So I wouldn't expect Moraes to be in the rankings anymore. In fact, I would expect him to maybe even lose his UFC roster spot. He might drop. He might have to go to another organization going forward here. Bellator, I'm sure, would love to have him. He would look great in Eagle FC. Going forward for Yadong, I think it's time to step up here. He puts him probably at number. They could trade spots, but unlikely. Sean O'Malley might not stay ahead of him. Anyway, I think top 10 opponents are for him. The rematch, I'm sure Marlon Vera would like to get that back because he feels like he won that fight. Many people do. Him versus Pedro Munoz would be fun. There's lots of fun fights for him in the top 10, and I think that's what's next for him. I don't want to see him versus Frankie Edgar. That's no good for me. I'm good on that one. All right, next fight here. We are looking at Alex Caceres versus Sodiq Yusuff. Okay. So this fight was actually pretty darn close. All right. First round. Alex was moving really well, being slippery on the ground, great head movement, and on the feet, Yusuff landing heavy shots. So Yusuff landed some good shots, but if you want to look here, we'll show the stats here. The first round, 13-8 in favor of Caceres. I feel like Yusuff's were a little bit more pungent. I feel like he had a little bit more power on the shots that he did land. Sodiq with the grappling in the second half of the round probably gave him the advantage in that first round, and that's I mean, I leaned towards Alex Caceres because of the damage and the volume, and he was seeking the finish with the submission when he was on the ground for a little bit. So I gave it to Caceres. I'm not mad if you give it to Sodiq, but I don't think that's the right way to go for that first round. Second round, Yusuff damaging the lead leg of Caceres really bad, and that was a difference maker. I feel like he really cut down the movement of Caceres and was able to outland him. The second round went to Yusuff pretty clearly in my mind, and we look here on the striking numbers, 29-25. If you watch it, he was mainly on the front foot advancing as well, so if they were that close and the damage was even, Yusuff is probably going to take it. So the second round goes to him. Leg kicks were there again for Yusuff. Alex doing damage up top, but hard to go towards Alex in this last round here. He slowed down quite a bit, wasn't as active. He was as active, but wasn't landing as good as shots as Yusuff was, and those leg kicks really started to add up. You know, he landed 34 of 37 for this fight. That was a difference maker. And then in this last round, it was in the favor of Caceres, 28-27. But if you go back and watch the those Yusuff leg kicks were more powerful and did more damage, in my opinion, than anything that Caceres was throwing at him. So moving on, let's get it going here. Khalil Rountree versus Carl Roberson. This fight was awesome to watch. Super fun. A lot of action for as long as it lasted. Rountree getting the KO I call it a TKO, but really it was a KO finish in the second round. First round, Khalil took the center the whole time. They both were throwing like nasty leg kicks against each other. Robertson was timing Rountree early and kind of had the striking advantage early on within like the first half of that first round, and he's able to land the bigger shots. But as it went on, Robertson slowed down a little bit, and he was kind of a little bit more stationary, which allowed Rountree to stalk him down. No game-changing shots necessarily, but the damage is really close, and all of the aggression came from Rountree in that first round, so I gave it to him 10-9. And if we look here on the numbers, like 18-17 in favor of Rountree, and then obviously the aggression. They say accuracy, blah, blah, blah. We've talked about this, how accuracy doesn't matter when it comes to scoring. In fact, it's actually a hindrance if you're more accurate and throw less. Because if we land the same amount and I throw more than you, I am being more aggressive and trying to finish the fight more often than you are. And that's what we saw here, throwing 54 shots in that first round, only landing 18, outlanding Roberson by 1. But like I said, the aggression really put him over the top for me in that first round. And then in the second round, Rountree landed a big right hook to start the second round, and Roberson went down. Khalil kicked him in the body on the ground, which is a great technique. And then Roberson just laid in the turtle position and didn't want to continue. And then Herb called it. So I wrote down, I love this technique. You could see it in the thumbnail. I don't feel like fighters use this technique enough or effectively. It's so underutilized. I don't know if people think because it's a dirty move, or it's below them or beneath them, their skill level. I don't know or they're worried about kicking a down opponent in the head because they're not accurate, they're not paying attention, they're trying to control their tools, whatever it may be. I'm just telling you that when an opponent is down on all fours and you have an opportunity to just outright soccer kick them right to the liver, right to the body, even to the leg, but more importantly to the body, why not go for it? You can get more power into that kick than you can lifting your leg up. So you can even wail on them harder, doing damage. They can't really do anything to you other than maybe catch your leg. So also you could be worried about getting taken down. That's understandable. But, dude, that's a dangerous game to play, being the guy on all fours on the ground. Like, I'm going to wait till you throw a kick and then try to catch it. Like, it's a dangerous game to play when you're trying to catch a body kick while we're both standing, let alone me on the ground in a very disadvantageous position and like just trying to get kind of lucky to catch a kick from you and then get this to the ground. That seems like a pretty safe kick. I don't see it very often. And then he even threw a push kick, and he would like that he missed. But when Roberson was down on all fours, he was trying to throw a push kick and like crush his ribs and throw him into. Dude, they're all effective techniques. They need to be utilized more. We already don't like the fact that we can't knee a ground opponent to the head. We don't like the fact that we can't kick a ground opponent to the head. So why not utilize what we have? And since we have the ability to kick them on the ground, to the body, to the legs, why not just unload? It's low risk, high reward. And it's super paid off. Like, he caught him right in the gut, and he just collapsed, just folded like a freaking lawn chair, did not want to get up, did not want to continue. Roberson's as tough as he needs to be, whatever. This is not to downplay or downgrade his toughness or anything like that. It's more just Rountree kicks hard, hits hard, and he takes advantage of positions, man. This is a technique that needs to be used more going forward by a lot of fighters. I feel like we're missing out. A lot of these fighters are either too proud or too scared or something. Maybe they're just not thinking about it when they're in there, but it needs to be used more. Cool. All right. Probably one of the most exciting fights of the weekend. I don't know if it takes a cake for me because I've already talked about it on one of these I did. I feel like the main event of Bellator was probably the most exciting fight, or best fight. Let's put it that way. This was probably the most exciting. Drew Dober taking on Terrence McKinney. McKinney, this is a huge test for him. The huge step up in competition. Drew Dober is a true UFC veteran. He's as tough as they come. He's got a head. He's built like a goddamn fire hydrant. He's stocky. He's got a giant head. Can take a lot of damage. This fight started just bananas. McKinney rocks Dober over and over again really early on, throwing nasty hooks, just big looping hooks, rocking Dober, throwing kicks to the body. Dober was throwing back and landing some good shots of his own. So then Terrence goes for a takedown, gets him down. And then like I'm telling you, you got to watch this one. You really do. I can't show clips on here because I will get pulled off of YouTube and I will have strikes against me and I won't be able to do this anymore. So I can't show you clips. They're pretty cagey about those things. But you really got to go watch this fight if you did not watch this event. Drew Dober, Terrence McKinney. McKinney looked like he was about to get him out of there. The referee was standing there waiting to pull the trigger and just, yank him out of there and call it. He didn't. Dober toughed it out, just took the damage that he needed to, threw back some of his own. McKinney got tired, and then at one point Dober got on top and he landed some good shots of his own. Gets on top, starts throwing some shots, and then gets a TKO finish for himself. McKinney just unloaded and got tired, man. Also after the fight, Drew Dober calls out Bobby Green. It'd be a really fun, a super fun fight. I think that'd be a fan favorite fight. Really quick, if you guys want to check out the numbers and see what I'm talking about here, McKinney landed 36 significant strikes to Drew Dober 17. And believe me, many of those 36 were fight-ending shots. All right, we're talking about a lot of those being up top. Yeah, 91% to the head from McKinney. Dude, he was landing nasty shots that many other fighters would have been out of there. I don't think this is detrimental. I think this is a good learning experience for McKinney to kind of control himself when he has that position. He can come out with that aggression, but once you got your opponent rocked, you got to pick your shots, take your time. Don't necessarily unload unless you see the finish. But then again, with a different referee, maybe he gets that finish. And we're talking about McKinney being, still being the next big thing and how he's unstoppable and he doesn't leave the first round. That's possible, So great win for Dober. It's good to see him back in the winning column. Love it. Tough to watch McKinney lose like that. I do like him as a fighter, and I'm still excited to see him go forward because if you can do that to Dober, you can do that to pretty much anyone. Okie dokes. Bruno Silva versus Alex Pereira. This fight was interesting. Silva. So in the first round here, Alex Pereira is a guy who beat one of the guys. He knocked out Israel Adesanya back in Izzy's kickboxing days. So they have a history, and that's the big thing. They're trying to push him to make it, get him up into a title shot position so he can take on Izzy, and we're supposed to see this great kickboxing battle. I'll tell you what I think about that at the end of this, but anyway, Alex with a really kick-heavy offense, high and low early. I felt like, also at one point, Mark Smith. I'm sorry if you like him. I'm gonna keep mentioning stupid shit that he does. Says, watch the cup to Bruno. So was there a low blow or not? If there was, you stop the fight or acknowledge it. If there wasn't, what are you saying? Watch the cup. Everywhere else is legal to kick in that area, right? The stomach, the inner thigh, the hip, all that's legal to kick. So what are you warning about? Don't kick that area? Dude, I said this before. This is what I'm talking about. He's overly vocal about things that he should not be, and it can affect the outcome of the fight. Who knows? What if a fighter hears watch the cup and then now no longer throws that technique because they feel like they're in danger? So what? If you're not doing anything illegal, throw it. Fuck. God, I really cannot stand it. It drives me nuts, man. All right. Alex looked kind of off, like he isn't comfortable, and Silva got a takedown with some good damage. But Alex ended the round with some really big shots that rocked Silva, and that gave him the round. Plus, if you look at the striking numbers, he was way out in front, 27-16. Easy round for Alex in that one. Second round, Pereira looked more confident in the second round, throwing more combos with the hands, but he looked tired for some reason. Maybe from the grappling, because there was a little bit of grappling in the second round as well. Close second round, both guys landing good damage. Silva with the clinch control. It was really hard to say one way or the other. I wrote down I had to look at the numbers, but I really said it looked super close to me, and I gave it the second round to Silva. And I'm not out of my mind here. 33-31 in favor of Alex. So, yes, Silva didn't come out on top as far as total striking numbers, but if you go back and watch, I feel like damage was pretty equal, and he had the aggression and the clinch time and the control. So I gave it him the second round, going even and going into the third. This is important for the recap at the end of the fight here. Silva got rocked, and Pereira just freaking unloaded him. Probably the best round for Alex is that third round, man. It was. And you look at here, 48-12 in favor of Pereira. He got more aggressive, more accurate. Yep, more aggressive, more accurate. Look at that, 52%, 56-68, right? More, and throwing more too. So he's more active, unloading more. Here's the thing. I don't know, watching this fight, if I saw anything that says, oh, he's going to go in there and smoke Izzy. I don't know if he's a better MMA fighter than Izzy is. I say Izzy. Israel Adesanya. I don't know if he's necessarily better than he is. So I still think he needs more fights. I want to see more fights with him in the UFC. I think he's only got 5 total. It's not, I think this his 6th fight? Well, no, I got to click it again. What the heck? I better be right, or I'm going to be. Yeah, 6th fight. He's 5-1. Ha. So, he's very early on in his career. He has a long ways to go as far as rounding out his game. He was taken down super easy by Bruno Silva, who is just a good kickboxer. So, or like a power puncher. I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't think it was a bad fight or a bad performance. It's just nothing stood out as like, oh, this guy's the next big thing. He's going to go in there and fuck Izzy up. Like, I didn't see that with this. It doesn't mean he can't be competitive, or maybe they, styles make fights. Maybe that stylistic matchup is way better for him. So we'll see. But I want to see him against at least another really good grappler and a really good striker. So I want to see at least 2 more fights, and then we'll talk about maybe a title contender fight, not necessarily a title fight. So. Okie dokes. AJ Fletcher versus Matthew Semelsberger. Fun fight. I mean, kind of. Well, like when they're standing, and then there's the grappling was, there was a little bit of striking, but AJ Fletcher got on top and spent 4+ minutes of the first round on top. Easy 10-9 round for him. Second round, Semelsberger spent time on top and sat there, so 19-19. And then the third round, Semelsberger outlanding Fletcher, getting the win here. I mean, it's nothing outlandish to say, that he won. I think, he did more damage in the third round. I'm going to be honest, I was very burnt out by the time I watched these. Hence, what I will say about this next fight, I don't even know if it's going to sound disrespectful. Okay. Jillian Robertson versus J.J. Aldrich. Pretty much nothing going on in the first round. Not a lot. Aldrich outlands her. Okay. Second round. Aldrich, I mean, if you look at the numbers, it looks like there was stuff going on, but, dude, it was rough to watch. I guess I was just kind of burnt out. First 2 rounds I gave to JJ, just she outlanded her, did more damage, and then the last round I gave to Robertson, but it didn't matter. She already lost the first 2. All 3 judges gave all 3 rounds to Aldrich. I don't care. I'm not mad at it. I want to move on. I don't want to talk about this fight anymore. Like I said, it's going to sound disrespectful. I mean, part of it's because I'm burnt out. I watch a lot of fights, but it was not a fun fight to watch anyway. Whatever. Okay, Trevin Jones taking on Javid Basharat. This is a fun fight to watch. Basharat with a big knee to the body. Jones crumpled and took a lot of shots in that first round, but he recovered, gave back a little bit to end the round, but I gave that first round 10-9 to Basharat. And we'll look at these numbers, 31-18 in favor of Javid, so easy peasy round for him. Better round for Jones in the second round, keeping up most of the time, but Basharat just doing a bit more. in the damage and the control, just a bit more. And you can see this, it played out in the striking numbers as well, 27-20 in favor of Javid. And then the last round, Basharat got tagged in the third round, but this round, I mean, honestly, you could give this third round to Jones, which because he landed some big shots, but the overall number of shots went to Basharat. So depending on how you grade the damage, you can give him basically 30-27 or 29-28 in favor of Javid. So decent fight to watch, not a bad fight, pretty fun striking affair if you're into that kind of thing. Oh, I didn't throw out those numbers. I am sorry. There you go. Cool. All right. Moving on. Kamuela Kirk versus Damon Jackson. Jackson did not want to be in there very long, and I mean that in a good way. Jackson rushes across the cage and frickin' just starts throwing, going ham. Good hands, rocking Kirk a couple times. Kirk throwing back in the first round, but Jackson with the takedown and the damage in that first round. Easy peasy round for him, in my opinion. 31-22. You can see here on the numbers, obviously. Good round for Jackson. Second round, none of these numbers matter. Jackson got an early takedown, worked the whole round, and managed to get a finish, an arm triangle choke with just about 17 seconds left on the clock in that second round. So good finish for Damon Jackson. But it was, again, fun fight to watch. That first round was all killer. Very, very fun to watch. Sabina Mazo versus Miranda Maverick. First round, Maverick landing on the feet and getting a takedown, holding her down, dealing ground and pound, looking way, way better than Sabina Mazo in that first round. 10-9 for her. Mazo looked better on the feet in the second round until she got taken down and then rear naked choked by Miranda Maverick. So Maverick just looked like she was like 3 steps ahead. Obviously, the second round was closer, but, you know, it doesn't matter if you're getting choked out that fast. I don't know if Mazo belongs in the UFC or in this division, but based off what I've seen of some of the fighters in this division, I think she still has a place. I don't think she's necessarily totally out of it. Dolce Lungiambula versus Cody Brundage. Okay. So if you thought the Drew Dober fight was a good comeback, go watch this one. Dolce Lungiambula just fucking unloads, man. He's just smoking him with power and speed. Just unload and landed nonstop. I mean, when I look at these numbers, 29 significant strikes, and they were hard. All of them were knees to the body, knees to the head, hooks, straights, everything, just outlanding him. Brundage was kept going for takedowns, couldn't get him down, and kept taking damage for his efforts until Lungiambula goes for the takedown himself and then falls into a guillotine, and Brundage just cinches it up and pulls it and gets a guillotine finish. Like, great comeback finish. Pretty crazy that he got that done. Like I said, if you enjoy comebacks or like unexpected things happening in MMA, there you go. Okie dokes. Chris Moutinho versus Guido Canetti. Canetti just landing bigger, heavier shots, and then at one point, these giant fucking hooks, and Chris Moutinho wasn't throwing back. Obviously, Moutinho's most famous for being a punching bag for Sean O'Malley, and today he was a punching bag for Guido Canetti. I think it's okay to cut him from the UFC. I know Canetti's a good fighter and all, but the way this guy takes damage, he has a lot to work on. Obviously, he can absorb these things and still keep moving forward, and that's a great a great trait to have, being a professional MMA fighter. But you got to do some other stuff. Your whole thing can't be, I'm going to take all your punches until you're tired, and then maybe I'll get a win, because in the long run, that does not work. You got to have something else. You got to have decent, like if you're going to be a punching bag like that, you got to be able to give something back, constantly sapping the energy like a Diaz. If you're going to be a wrestler, maybe you take some damage, but you keep wrestling and you keep making them work and tiring them out. But you can't just be a punching bag and that's your only thing. It doesn't work like that. Azamat Murzakanov versus Nchukwi. Interesting fight. So Azamat, let me throw up the stats here. Azamat doing the damage with the bigger shots early on. Tafon kind of took control down the stretch and outlanding him in that first round, in my opinion. I thought he did. I guess the numbers do not bear that out. So, oh, no, yes, they do. I'm not crazy. Tafon Nchukwi did outland him in that first round, 17-13. I thought he did enough damage. I gave him that first round. Second round here. Tafon just had the second round, start to finish, more damage and controlling all the exchanges. 20-18, easy peasy. Going in the third round, just gotta make it to the end. And then Azamat freaking stuns him with a left straight and then KOs him with a fucking flying knee. This is how we opened the card. All right, this was exciting. All right, this is crazy. This is his UFC debut against another up and coming fighter. This is fun to watch. Really cool. I mean, the first round was competitive. Second round was, a kind of a washout. Like, that guy, had nothing for him in the second round. But in the third round, coming out and getting the finish like that, I think he has a lot to work on. I think he can take. The cool thing is he gets to work on those things while coming off of a win instead of coming off of being dominated in a loss. So good for him. Good for him getting that finish. And that is it for this UFC card. So for those of you guys who watched my other videos, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. For those of you guys who are just watching this one and you're interested in maybe the Eagle FC, Bellator, I put videos about their fights from this weekend as well, their events. So if you made it this far, like I said, I love you. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. It helps me out. Lets me know that you guys are interested in these things and the style that I'm doing. Please comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this card. Let me know what was your highlights of the card. What was your highlights of the night? Did you like this card versus the other ones if you watched the other events this weekend? So let me know about all those things. I will be down in the comments and I will communicate with everybody who's willing to communicate with me about MMA. Love it. All right. Peace. Have a good week.